This morning, for our Inland Sports Volleyball Coaches Spotlight, we take a trip into Citrus Belt League country, and we're joined by Citrus Valley head coach Tina Raddish. Tina, how are you this morning?
Great, thank you.
All right. So, same idea as Danielle, about 10 questions and rapid fire.
Okay,
You had spent some time at Humboldt State before coming over to Citrus Valley.
correct.
What is the biggest adjustment you had to make in coaching at the college level to coming down to the high school level?
I think the biggest difference is when we get them at the collegiate level, they're more refined. So at the high school level, it's teaching those basic skills, trying to get them to be sufficient in each individual skill.
Okay. And then when a kid is going through the recruiting process, it's something you obviously have a lot of familiarity with. What are the kinds of questions you get them to think about outside of volleyball?
My biggest question is pick the school you want to go to school to, want to
Okay.
go to school at, because that's the most important thing. If volleyball were to leave the next day, you get injured, something happens, you still have to go to that school. So you pick the school for the major in which you want to go, study under, and the school itself, is that the environment you want to learn in?
Okay. Um, Last season's squad shared a Citrus Belt League title with Ukaipa, but lost Claire Kavensky, the MVP of the league, to graduation. Who are some of the players we should look to step up in her stead this year?
I feel very fortunate. We have 4 returners. The 4 returners that we do have were kids that played on the floor all rotations last year. So we have Danielle Lilly back, we have Kyra Bennett back, we have Jackie Barrett back, and we have Lauren Grideo back. So I feel that we are fortunate in that regards, that we still have a very young team in that perspective that will be able to carry the experiences that they had last year into this year and the following year. And we had to piece together just a few different areas, and I feel that our 2 middles are doing a great job, and we have a couple other defensive players that come in and play. So I feel very fortunate that we have those pieces already in place.
Okay. Who are some of your biggest coaching influences? And then Bob Hurley, the former boys basketball coach at St. Anthony's, says coaches are some of the greatest stealers of all time. What are 2 or 3 things you've picked up from other coaches along the way?
I'm constantly picking up different things. Coaches I look to a lot. I was very fortunate at a young age when I first started coaching to learn some things from Russ Rose, from a coach named Bonnie Kenny. Mind you, most of these coaches that when I started off, I've now retired, but they helped me with a lot of the young things that coaches do, and I was able to ask them lots of questions and find out how to do certain things with just certain players. But I think coaching, you're always stealing stuff. Like for practices at the beginning of the week, I'm constantly looking at, okay, this is what my practice plan is going to be. Let's find some drills, because having the same drill every single time gets boring. But there's multiple drills out there that do the same thing. So we're constantly trying to switch them up. And then by the end of the week, the girls are saying, we really like this drill, so we keep that one in our drill book, and then we go from there.
Okay. How would your assistants or players describe you in 2 to 3 words?
2 or 3 words. Intense, and always what's the best for them.
Okay. Kind of preview the Citrus Belt League for us this year. In the past, it's been known as one of the more competitive leagues in the area, and I kind of expect it to be that way again.
I do too. I got to see a couple teams play at Queen of the Court. I thought Ukaipa played really well. Ukaipa's always solid. They're great defensively. Amber does a great job there with making sure her team is ready for Citrus Belt League. I thought Cajon looked really well. Paula has done a really good job with her team as well. And Corinne always somehow she might not have the biggest kids or the best kids, but she always gets those kids to play for her.
Okay. And what was the biggest thing you learned about your team last weekend at Queen's Court?
I think the biggest thing that we've learned is we tend to make a few mistakes on a roll. So like we'll make 3 or 4 mistakes where we've got to narrow that down to make it to maybe 2 points instead of 4 points. We still have some young players that are nervous when they go in there, and that just can't happen. So that's the transition from JV to varsity. When you get back there and you're supposed to serve the ball in, the ball needs to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about that every single day in practice. How can we be better when we get to the end line?
Okay. What other sports did you play growing up, and then how do you encourage multi-sport participation among your athletes?
I have played, well, I played volleyball, basketball, swam, softball, are the sports that I played. In high school, we won a CIF championship at Fontana High School when I was a sophomore, so I was fortunate enough to be on that team. My philosophy is if you're not playing club, for those kids that want to go off to play college, club is probably the situation or the area they need to go to, but not always. But if you're not playing club, you need to play another high school sport because this is your high school years. This is where you get all those experiences and those memories. And I really believe in that because I was fortunate enough to play 3 sports in high school. And we didn't have club back then. But it gave you a sense of pride for your school. And I think that with all of the club that's going on now is being lost, especially for most of the sports except for football. And I think to be a part of the school and if you're athletic and you can play 2 sports, then do it and enjoy it.
Okay. When a young lady finishes 4 years as a Blackhawk, what do you hope she leaves the program with?
I hope they leave the program with responsibility, that they know they're responsible for themselves. I hope that we've left them with some leadership qualities and that they know that they can do stuff out there in the real world, that they are their own future. They can't make mistakes and blame it on somebody else, that they're responsible for themselves and that they can do anything they set their mind to.
Okay. Behind every great program, there's a great staff. Talk about some of the people behind the scenes who make an impact on Blackhawk volleyball.
I'm very fortunate to have an amazing athletic director. Boyd has supported me in everything that I've done. We have our JV and freshman coaches. Today, they're running the show here so that I can coach. And the parents are very supportive of what we want to do. I don't know if you know this, but we took a trip to University of Oregon this year for a team camp for varsity, and it was paid for entirely by our booster club.
Nice.
So our parents do a great job of raising money for us to have these experiences for the girls. So they got to go to a university camp for 3 days, and we went and visited 5 colleges, and we got to do a couple fun things like whitewater rafting and zip lining. And so I can't do it alone. I need the support group of everybody involved in the program to help make it successful.
Okay. What advice do you have for younger coaches who are getting into the profession more and more and looking to make it a career?
It's long. It's hard. I've been in and out of coaching now for 30 years or over 30 years, and I stepped away when my kids were little young and then got back in when they started playing. But it's hard, but it's very rewarding. You need to be able to put the time and the effort into your program. And I think by always reviving yourself, like I said, I'm looking at new drills. I'm trying to find out what the new things are out there. And as long as you keep reviving yourself as a coach so that everything isn't stale, I think that you could be in the profession for a long time. The other thing I think is don't be afraid to ask other coaches questions. How do you do this? What do you do in practice? How do you get your kids to play this way? And just don't be afraid and enjoy getting better each year.
Okay. And then what goals do you have for this group of Blackhawks looking ahead to the CBL and the CIF playoffs?
Our goal is to win CBL, and I know saying that it might sound a little bit arrogant, but I feel that every year when we enter the season, that's our goal. Our goal is always to win, and I don't think that that's a goal that we can't achieve. I think it's very achievable for us. Will it take a lot for us to do that? Absolutely. But if we continue to work hard in the steps that we take little by little instead of taking huge jumps at one time, that never happens. So you've got to look at each game and how are we going to prepare for that. So our goal is to win league and then to see how far we can go in the CIF. That's always the icing on the cake.
Yeah. What are a couple of things you saw last weekend at Queen's Court that need to be cleaned up over the course of today with Rev looming over the horizon to start
I think
league?
some of the things that we really need to clean up is just being more fluid in our offense and a couple things defensively. How we're blocking, whether we're blocking line or blocking angle. I think that the defense isn't changing our shift enough or fast enough. So just little things like that. And that's just practicing because we haven't been able to do that. That was the only time we've got to see us play. Was last weekend against somebody. So now it's just a matter of being able to make those changes in practice.
Okay. It's rapid fire time now. Where are we likely to find you off the court?
At a soccer match.
Okay. Favorite restaurant?
I would say not a restaurant, but Mexican food.
Okay. What are we likely to find on your iPod, Pandora, or Spotify?
Everything from Barry Manilow to I'm trying to think of a rap. I don't have a lot of rap. Let's see, to any country.
Okay. And I had to. I was going to say earlier. I was very impressed with the
Danny's.
Yeah. Favorite book.
If I Should Stay.
Okay. Favorite amusement park.
Six Flags.
What was your worst subject in school?
English.
Favorite vacation spot.
Anywhere in the world, not necessarily. I've been all over the United States, so now I'm going to the world.
Okay. Favorite sports to watch outside of volleyball.
Football.
Okay.
And soccer, I should say both.
Favorite athlete.
Brian Urlacher.
What was your first job?
Lifeguarding.
Okay. Do you have any game day superstitions?
No.
Okay. Favorite movie.
Harry Potter.
And favorite TV show.
NCIS.
Okay. Tina, thank you for joining us this morning. Good luck the rest of the day, and we'll hope to get out into CBL country.
Thank you very much.
And we're clear.